blackmail them for more pictures. And then that whole predator issue comes up. There's a charge called importuning, where you hear about this every once in a while, where an officer sits down at a computer and somebody will contact them via the internet or email, and they think they're meeting up with a young boy or a young girl, and it turns out the police and we come and arrest them. That's still happening. And we haven't even, well, pornography is a whole other issue. I remember, I'm thinking it was late 80s, right up the street from your house, when the guy opened up the X-rated bookstore there at 42 and Sycamore. Nobody had any idea what this guy was doing. He closed up it's where the pizza place is now. He had covered the windows. We had no idea what he was doing. We just thought he was opening up another business. And none of us ever thought to check with the city clerk to say, hey, does he have a permit, licensing and all that? Well, he opens up one day and they put a sign on the top of that roof, X-rated books and movies. Yeah, our community had an issue with that. You're not going to see a lot of those stores anymore because it's also available on the internet. All right, now take that and add to it social media. And that's the Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all those, and this is all stuff that's out there. It's very easy to use. And with like Twitter, they call them flash mobs. Where, hey, let's all run into a store and then 20 people run in and grab as much as they can and run back out. That's all done, organized by social media. So the technology's helped on one end, it's hurt on the other. It's helped us do law enforcement better, but it's also created a lot more problems for us. The instant news is another issue for us. It's not unusual now for the news to be on a scene while we're still working the scene, because they get it so fast from people sending them pictures and photos. And that's not all bad. I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying it creates a lot of other issues for us. Okay, third one, as I promised. And I'll speed up because I know people got to get that. Terrorism. 2001 changed everything. It changed everything for us. If you think about it, when the plane crashed in San Francisco a week and a half, what's the first question everybody asked? Was it terrorism? And that's what we hear now all the time. Anytime we get maybe a car catches on fire, a fire at a building, the first question is always, is it terrorism? And that, folks, that's just the world we live in. That's going to happen. Now, once again, there is some good that's come out of that. All law enforcement, fire, public safety people, first responders, there's a whole program called NIMS, the National Incident Management System. And what it's trying to do is get everybody on the same page when it comes to how we're going to respond and talking on the radio to each other and being able to communicate. And if everybody's doing it the same way, we don't have issues with, well, wait a minute, we do it this way, we can't help you here, and it's forced us to work closer with other law enforcement, with other fire, even with tow trucks. The tow truck operators fall under this. They call it TIMS, the Towing Incident Management System, because those folks are out there on the interstate with us, as I told you, the most dangerous place, and they have to be prepared for all this stuff that's happening. So the cooperation, the training, all that stuff's been a lot better for us. I just have to tell you, a lot of the things we have came from grants based on terrorism. We were able to pick up a mobile command vehicle. It looks like a huge motorhome that has been used by a lot of other agencies, except for us. We got it about 3 years ago. We've never had to use it, but other agencies have. And it just allows, when fire, police, emergency management, the FBI, TSA, all these groups have to get together, it gives them a place to do that where they can do it without being in range of the media, hearing everything they say and talking, hearing everything they're talking about. That was about a $350,000 vehicle that the city would not have been able to have unless we picked it up on a grant. But if you think about it, now, don't you just love going through the airport and meeting up with the TSA folks? And they're trying to do their best. They really are. We have 3 police officers who are TSA officers, and they'll tell you they were trying. How many times do you hear the white powder scares? You know, oh, we found white powder. We used to, for a long time, we were getting a bunch of those. But just recently, there have been cases where the president and some Congress people were mailed letters that actually had anthrax in them. One with what they thought was ricin, which is even scarier. And with that comes the loss of privacy. I mean, with terrorism, it's just, you know, the whole phone call thing that the NSA is tracing. These license plate readers are coming up as an issue. So terrorism's caused us, you know, some issues there. And I did not know this. I had heard about the NSA thing with the phone calls. I had heard about that. But I didn't know that the U.S. Post Office takes a picture of every piece of mail that they process. I had no idea. But apparently they've been doing that for a while. All right. Well, let me just real quick, and I'll kind of end it up here. Where has our police department gone over the last about 30 years or so? As I told you, when I started, 31 officers. We've doubled the size there. When I started, we had, I think, 2 detectives. We now have 9 to do investigations. A lot of things that I'm very proud of. We added a SWAT team, and that's a huge thing. They get called out about 3 to 4 times a year. And, you know, nobody thinks about SWAT until you absolutely need it. Until that guy's in there with that gun. And then before SWAT, hey, that's you and I are on a call. We go in and grab this guy. Now there's officers that are so much better trained and equipped to do that. K9, we have 2 K9 officers who just do a fantastic job. They do tracking and they do drug work and stuff. So that's a huge benefit. But the dogs aren't cheap. The last one we just bought back in April was $13,000. But I'm just telling you, I'm not a big dog lover. I don't hate them. I mean, they're dogs, but these dogs are wonderful. They are fantastic. We now have 2 officers that do nothing but drug work, and probably can use 2 more. Think of, I call it the CSI effect. Everybody watch CSI and CSI Miami and all these shows. Well, guess what? A lot of those tests that they do don't exist. If you want to check for DNA in Kentucky, the Kentucky State Police Crime Lab does that. The turnaround time is about 6 to 7 months. So that 47-minute show on TV just doesn't do it. Well, and I'm not knocking them. They're doing the best they can. But if we have a burglary at your house and we collect blood, we'll collect it, but we can't send it off for DNA because the lab won't do it. They just don't have the availability to do that. They'll do homicides and rapes and that kind of stuff. We sent a piece of blood that we collected over to Hamilton County's lab because we needed it done within a couple days. And the state lab just couldn't do it. And they charged us $3,500 to process it. But that's what it costs to do it. So, but that's our tax money that's paying for that. But now what we're seeing in criminal cases is what we call the CSI effect. People on juries are saying, hey, yeah, I understand that your house got burglarized, but where's the DNA? Where's the proton microanalysis test? And no, people have asked us, seriously. And your prosecutors will tell you that they're seeing that. One of the things that we developed was an accident reconstruction team. As I told you, with the fatal accidents and stuff, those can result in criminal charges. And my feeling was, and the team was started before I became chief, but we put a lot more effort into it. If that's your family member that was killed in that car crash, I think we owe it to the family to try to tell them what happened to their loved one, because nobody else is going to be able to do that. So these officers that work on this team, they're way above my level. They're into the physics and the algorithms and all that type of stuff. Of course, a lot of it's computerized now, but they go to classes that these engineers are teaching them how to recreate crashes and tell what happened. And, most new cars now have a black box, just like an airplane does. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But from about the last 6 years, almost all new cars have a black box. So we go in, we pull that black box out, and we download it. It tells us how fast you were going, whether you were braking, whether you had your seatbelt on, how much weight was in the car, all that type of stuff. Same as the airplanes do. And That's become a huge issue now for both criminal charges and civil cases, lawsuits. We've taught DARE for a long time, and I'm one of these people who think DARE is very effective, and I still think it's very effective. And I know the UK's done some studies that dispute that, but you know, in my opinion, it still is. Crime analysis, like I said, is big. We now have a person who does nothing but focuses on crime and looking at crime to say, okay, wait a minute, we're seeing this over here, this over here. Is this related to this over here? Because it's so transitory, not only is it within the department, but we're constantly in contact with people on the other side of the river, maybe Lexington, maybe Columbus, you know, because that's, the criminals are coming out of all those different areas. Traffic analysis is a big one. We're starting to look at a program called DDACS, Data-Driven Analysis of Crime and Traffic Statistics. A lot of professors are telling us that if you look, you can usually look where your high crime areas are at and your high traffic accident areas are the same spots. Because criminals, they're criminals. If they'll burglarize a house, they don't care if they run a red light or they speed or they run a stop sign or if they have if they've got a driver's license. And a lot of times it's overlapping. And there's a lot of evidence to show that. So we're looking into those type of things. Intelligence-led policing is what they call it. You know, we've got to be smarter. And that's what's happening now. Better working relationships. We meet constantly with the federal agencies, other state agencies, and I never realized there were so many federal agencies that deal with different things. But we're all working for the same results. Just a couple of real quick things. When I went through the academy in 1985, it was 10 weeks. The academy is now 18 weeks. It looks like it's going to go up another couple of weeks, you know, in the near future. So, but if you think about that, it's still less time than it takes to become a cosmetologist in this state. Dispatchers, the people that answer your 911 calls, and that's a whole other issue we could get into, but they now have, if you're following the news, Cincinnati's having an issue with their 911 centers, saying that some of the people aren't trained. I don't know all the details here, but in this state, you have to go to the same police academy as the officers do for 4 weeks to learn to become a dispatcher. And they go through the same testing process now as a police officer, except the physical agility test. There's a law called POPS, Peace Officer Professional Standards. And what it said was to be a cop, you had to be 21, you had to have a high school diploma, you had to do all this physical agility, running, lifting weights and all that type of stuff. You had to pass a polygraph, a lie detector test, a medical test, a psychological test, a background, where they check your credit history. The dispatchers have to go through all of that too. But that law didn't pass in this state till 1998. Prior to 1998, you could hire a police officer, say, here's your badge, here's your gun, go have at it. And some departments did that. Now, Florence has always done these standards ever since I've been there, and long before I got there. So that's how progressive the city's been. A couple things that I just want real quick. Everybody's seen tasers. Taser, in my opinion, is one of the best pieces of equipment to come out since I've been a cop. They are effective. I've been tased 5 times. I'm still here. Are there some risks to it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Maybe. You know, I hear some doctors say yes, some say no. I don't know. What we're doing in Florence is we've kind of narrowed their use. I think what happened was people thought, oh, okay, they don't cause any permanent injury, so Betsy, put your hands behind your back. And if Betsy said no, you know, well, law enforcement probably went a little too far using them, so they're narrowing the use of them, which I think is a good thing. Ballistic vest, bulletproof vest. We went to a policy years ago that said if you work in uniform, you wear that vest. Now, on a day like today, that's